I'm Tessa Williams and welcome to Life the Battlefield, and today I am interviewing Neil The Muscle Cummings. He was security guard for Underworld businessman John Ibrahim, and was also Australia's Most Wanted 2017. Congratulations.
Thank you for that.
I would actually be proud of that, to be honest.
You'd be proud of that?
I would put that on my resume. Like, yes, they would catch me the first time I would put that on Facebook.
It's never helped me with resumes, I tell you. Oh, dear. But thank you for inviting me on here.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. So, Neil, how did you get into this? First of all, you started off as a good boy.
Well, you know what? It's not that I was a good boy. I hid a lot of things from my parents growing up. Don't get me wrong, I got into trouble with the cops back in England when I first came here. But my main goal was to play soccer when I first came to Australia. But things led me down a different path. You know, I used to start, you get into a little bit of, you think you're a hard little person. And I used to go around clubs thinking, you know, I'm English, I don't listen to you. I've started a few fights. My dad was in the club scene back in the UK. He owned a few nightclubs back in the UK in Liverpool. So I've been in that scene for years. And when I got the chance, I remember I was 30... No, it wasn't. I was 26. I was 26 when I got my security license. And I thought my aim was to be a bodyguard. Never to be a doorman, just to be a bodyguard. And I got my first job was at Home Nightclub. And I was given the job to actually do the drug runs of all the drug dealers who were coming in the club. And that's how I got into it. And that was, you know, I'd wear undercover clothes. I'd go in there to the bathrooms. They'd be covered, like the dealers would have them in their Tic Tac boxes, all the pills, and I'd confiscate them. You know what I mean? So
you didn't resell?
No, back then, you know what? And this is a true story. Back then, when we used to get the drugs off them, especially the pills, we had a garden out the front, and I don't know if you've seen it. It's outside Home Nightclub, and it's just a slight little garden. Yeah. And we had this mullet hammer. So what we used to do is, if it was a big load, as I said, we'd get about 50 pills, and maybe a few sachets of coke. We used to bring the dealers out, pour the pills onto the garden, and make the dealer smash his own pills. And that we didn't care if he owed money or that, you know, whoever, you know, he came there to sell them for. We'd make him smash him, and we'd bar him after that, and then we'd blow him away, put him into the magic garden. We called it the magic garden, and we used to do that to every dealer. And we used to a lot of dealers used to cry unless it was a big mount. Then you know, they were handed over to the cops. But that's what I used to do. It was a bit of fun.
Was that near Arc? Not Arc, sorry, near Tank Nightclub?
No, that was Home Nightclub was on Cockle Bay.
Okay.
Cockle Bay, that's where that was my first gig down there. And as I said, things opened up for me back then. You know, I moved on. I think it was 2.5 years after that. I went to the Cross to look after YU in Soho after that. That was a good gig, looking for the owner. And that's what got me into the scene a little bit, because not that I knew who John Ibrahim was back then, but it got me into the scene of who I first met Sam Abraham working at Soho. You know, I did, you know, what I usually do is I knocked out 2 of his boys who were being naughty in my club. You know what I mean? They were going behind the bar. Next week came, and I swear to God, it was like a scene out of a movie. 30 bikes coming down Victoria Street, parking off in between cars. And then all you see is the presence of a guy I'd never seen before, but you knew he was somebody because of the way he walked and the guys who were behind him. And I remember the first thing he said when we were standing on the door there, and me back then, I don't fear anyone, and I didn't know about the bike scene back then. You know what I mean? I didn't know, I was a bit clueless. And he walks up and he goes, "Who's the head doorman?" And I just remember from the corner of my eye, every doorman just took a step back. And I was left standing there. And then he says, "So you must be the guy." And I said, "Yeah, man, what can I do for you?" And I remember we spoke about, you know, that he had the 2 guys with him. They were knocked out the week before. Yeah. And he says, "You know, what the fuck's going on? Do you know who I am? I run the Cross." And I says, "Listen, man," I said, "this is the situation." And I told him the situation. He looked at them. He said, "Did this happen?" And, you know, there was a lot of swearing and things going on. But he said, they kind of said, "Yeah." And then he looked at me and he says, "Thank you know, the way you spoke to me and showed me respect." I said, "Listen, if anyone messes around in my place, this is what happens. If anyone goes into your place, what would you do?" And that's how I put it to him. And from then on, he just said, he shook my hand. He says, "I'm Sam Abraham. You need anything, let me know." That was the last time I ever seen him until I worked for John. And then the rest was all history. I started working in strip clubs, and within about maybe, I'd say 6 months from that situation, I was offered the gig at DCM's.
I heard you thought that Tongan Sam was John Ibrahim.
When I first, yes, that's very true. And
it's understandable. He's scary.
Well, that's what my persona was, because, I'd never met John. And everyone goes to me, how can you think that's John Ibrahim? But the thing is, when everyone talks up a person and you actually think, okay, this guy must be somebody, you know what I mean? He's got to be someone fucking scary. And I'm not saying John's not scary, but he's a bit of a pretty boy, but you know what I mean? And the first time you see him, you see this Range Rover pull up on Oxford Street outside DCM's, and then you look for the biggest guy because you think this must be John Ibrahim. And I remember he got out the car, and I remember John now. Sam Abraham's coming past. John Abraham and Tongan Sam were coming past. And I remember the hand went out for John because I didn't think he was. I just thought he was a driver, and it was a flimsy shake. You know what I mean? It was just really flimsy. And he just goes, "Is that all you got?" And I said, "Okay, yeah, nah." And he goes, "I'm John Ibrahim." I said, "And what?" And it was like that. And he just went, "Oh shit!" And then Tongan Sam came up and he went like this on my shoulder. Like that, nice to meet you, welcome to the crew. And then he went inside, and I looked at all the doors and said, why didn't you fucking tell me who this fucking guy was? You know what I mean? And I felt like a right flop. You know what I mean? Because it was my first time to meet him, and that's the handshake I give him, but,
Yeah,
it worked out well.
Honestly, I was shocked when I first met John. I was expecting this real macho, staunch guy, and he was so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to work at one of his clubs, and he used to always come in there so respectful, didn't like anyone, even from his crew, being nasty to us. He was always apologetic if someone...
Oh, no, he is.
Yeah.
He's a businessman too. But the thing is, my persona of him was he has to be someone scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He has to be the biggest bloke in that car.
And then you meet the man in person, and he's the nicest out of his crew. And the ones that try to act all gangster are not his friends, are the hangers-on that try to act all...
Yeah.
The ones that he's like, sorry, I don't know them.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah. But no, but that was a good time down at DCM's. I worked there.
I fell down those stairs.
Oh, yeah, I fell downstairs? You went thrown, you fell?
I went flying down those stairs back in my messy party girl days.
Yeah.
That's what I remember from DCM's.
DCM's, the
Did
sweat.
you throw anyone down?
I've thrown a lot of people down them stairs. And then I picked them up and thrown them down again because believe it or not, and I hate saying this, but it's true, that when I used to kick people out, and I used to kick them out from the top of them doors, if I didn't make them bounce off every step, and this is a true story, if I didn't make them bounce off every step, I would bring them back up and redo it.
Do it again properly.
Redo it. I swear to God, I did it, I think, 2 or 3 times to some people, and because my aim was to make them jump, to go bang, 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 all the way down to the bottom door. Yeah. But I had some fun times in there. It was good.
I think you missed your calling as a male dom. It would have been so good. Let's do that again.
No, let's not. You've told me your stories, and I don't think I could do that.
So no fisting at all?
Definitely no fisting. Yeah. You and your fisting. Every time I've been on my podcast now, and I've had anyone in that industry, I have to stop them and say, have you ever done fisting? Because every time I've had someone on, there's about fisting.
Oh, okay.
And,
so now I can ask you, have you ever tried it?
No, I have never tried
No
it.
intention to try?
No way.
Not even on your birthday, come on.
It's never crossed my mind to do any fistings.
So you won't go there.
No one goes there, and I ain't going there. So no, that's definitely out there.
Don't worry, my days of that are over.
Yeah?
It's just normal.
Okay.
Normal hand-holding now.
Oh, hand-holding?
Yeah, not even that. Celibacy.
Oh my God.
Which includes no fists.
Wow.
Unless I'm punching someone.
Oh, so you're allowed to punch someone, but you're not allowed to fist?
Yeah.
That's a bit weird, isn't it?
No, if I don't like them.
Okay.
That's how I learned how to punch, was at a strip club. Because you've worked in strip clubs, you know.
I've worked in a lot of strip clubs.
Exactly, a lot of girls have to learn how to punch there.
Yeah. I don't think I've worked in any that you've worked in, though, have I?
No, you left when I started working at Dreamgirls.
Okay, yeah.
And then they hired the worst security team in King's Cross.
Yeah, I heard about that. It was pretty bad.
It was really bad. There were so many fights there, and one security guard could not defend us.
Yeah.
And then when he was in trouble, because there's many times that I asked him to help me, that he just ended up shaking the guy's hand.
Yeah.
When he was in trouble, I pretended I couldn't hear him over the music. When he needed help to get the other security guys, I was like, huh, what? Oh, okay.
Yeah, all my concern was the girls and the staff and the owners. That's all I cared about, you know what I mean? So if anything started in there, you were out straight away.
Yeah, before. No, Michael took over that. He was dragging people out.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they really, really went to Sorry, guys, but you were the worst.
Yeah.
They were the worst. The girls had to learn to look after themselves and stand up for each other.
Yeah, because you worked out, where did Minx, was it Minx?
Yeah, I was at Minx first, and then I went to, the last year that I danced, I went to Dreamgirls, and then I was, nope, I'm just going to go full force into being a dominatrix, because I was so on and off with that. And that's when I just started the porn.
I think that back then when you were started to work in Dreamgirls, the industry was going down anyway.
It was absolutely horrible. A lot of the strip clubs closed, and we had the crack whores coming in that were doing everything for $50. And I thought, no, stuff this.
Yeah, I think it was a good time for me to get out, because I remember it was just the industry was shit, and then
that's when the lockdown happened.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed out. You had the fun days, though.
I had the fun days, the very good days in the cross. Yes, I have the best memories, and that's why I say to a lot of the generation coming through now that you don't know how to party.
No,
you know what I mean. The party days of like back in the cross were a good 20 years ago. You know what I mean. When you moved club to club, and the clubs were still open till 10 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Then we went to the day bars.
Yeah,
and
the day bars. You know what I mean. Black Market and T2, and you know what I mean. Or you go to Bourbon and Beef, till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They were the days. Those
were the days, and then I couldn't drink after that. Something happened. I developed an intolerance to alcohol, and then the party was over for me. I think it was best because, man, I used to go hard. I was messy.
Oh my God.
Back then.
Actually, I think I've seen you a few times, when you've come to Trademark. I've seen you in the VIP lounge, I think
I remember those days. That was the Temptation Island days. They used to put me in the VIP room. I used to,
Yes.
Thank goodness there was no cameras back then on our phones. I would have been in a lot of trouble.
There wasn't, was there?
No.
That's the good thing about it. There was no phone. There's no cameras on phones back then.
Yeah.
Now it's everyone stops to take photos, and you can't do anything, get away with it anymore.
Can't any at all. There was many times with celebrities I'd be in the toilets doing lines of coke on the toilet. Yeah.
Bet you wish we have cameras there now.
Exactly. The things that I know now from being high in a cubicle with certain celebrities.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I can mention a few of them, but I won't.
Tell me, what's the dodgiest thing you've seen in a strip club?
The dodgiest thing I've seen in a strip club. Fucking hell. Jeez, that's a hard one. The dodgiest thing.
I know, because there's so much.
The whole fucking night's just dodge. You know what I mean? And it depends what strip club you're in.
Yeah.
Like, because if you were working in the city, you didn't. Oh, you know what? There was probably the dodgiest thing I've ever seen in a club, and I think it was pure platinum I worked, was when I had to hide weapons from a certain bikie club. Because we were going to get raided, and I remember going in the kitchen and putting them all in bins and leaving them in plastic bags, so they were all right. That's dodgy.
Just put them in the girls' bags. It's for self-defense. They don't feel like.
But that's I remember that one. But for something like Dreamgirls and Porky's, it was always a dodgy night in there. You know what I mean? I used to work in Porky's for the escorts in there, looking after them all, and the girl who made the most money was the tranny.
Yes.
She made the most money. You know what I mean? Because she knew how to work the client. And some of the clients didn't know that she was. You know what I mean? Back in the day, it was dodgy because you get the card and you'd walk out the room, the girl walk out the room, swipe the card, not once, twice or 3 times, and then go back in the room. So he doesn't realise his card's been swiped fucking 4 times.
Yeah, we did that before it became illegal.
Yeah.
We used to get the guys drunk and passed out and then pretend he was whispering in our ear, he wants to extend.
Yes, wants to extend, and then he just go out and dump. Till
the next day he gets his bill. We were horrible, sorry.
Yeah, and a lot of doctors and lawyers used to stay in Porky's overnight, you know what I mean? And they'd have a 4-day bender in there with the girls, you know what I mean? But he didn't realise it was a tranny. But that's some of the dodgy things you could do back there. But strip clubs, I don't know. Like, I've seen them all the way that some of the strippers worked. You know what I mean? How they got their clients. Some of them fell in love with them. Some of them fucking had their flings with them. You know what I mean?
Some of them married them.
Yeah, married them. It's just. It was. I'd look at them sometimes and go, "You could do better than this." But the thing is, back then in that industry in that day, that's how it was. You were looking. You wanted to hang out with the guy who had the money, and splurged on you all the time. And he came in, and you know what I mean. He looked like the part. You know what I mean. But I don't know. Sometimes they were working him to get that money. Sometimes it was just like, I don't know. They'd go home with them, and I just go, "What the fuck are you doing?" But it is what it is. Not to do with me. I just work there and watches, but it's hard to watch girls go home. Sometimes get used, but that's.
Yeah, that happened a lot in that industry. Yeah. I was married at the time when I was working there. The whole time I was in that industry, I was married. So I'd just go home to my husband. We had no problem.
How did he take it, though?
I think it's now a red flag that he had no problem with my work. He had no problem with my escorting. He had no problem with my being a dominatrix. It's only when I did the porn, when it became out there, he had a problem. Because it was everyone seeing it. And he said I was doing sex acts with men that he's never, ever... I've never done with him, and I was like, well, duh.
Wow. Do you miss it?
Do I miss what?
Miss all that kind of thing. Do you ever miss it? Like, do you ever reminisce to miss it, or you don't miss it?
The only thing I miss would be the money. That would be the only thing. Do I miss it? No. No, sometimes I get PTSD thinking about it. Or I look at a photo I take of myself before going on a porn set, and you could see it in my face. I'm like, oh, can this just be over and done with?
Yeah.
I only miss the community of girls in the change room. BDSM I miss. There's bits and pieces I miss. I know I have unresolved feelings.
Yeah.
BDSM's like a toxic ex to me that I miss sometimes. I'm into that stuff, and I can't watch certain scenes on TV that involve torture because it makes my heart like, oh, so excited.
Oh, wow.
But I can sit and watch a porn and feel nothing. Go, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like that, unresolved feelings, which I'm like, okay, abstinence, celibacy, I've got to stay away from everything.
Wow.
Which makes it easy because with celibacy, it's easy. I don't really crave that much affection. But BDSM torture, yes. For some reason, I'm so hooked on that I sometimes reminisce about electrocuting myself, or when I see a certain weapon, their BDSM weapon, I'm like, oh. Maybe no one will know about it, but then I think it's like a gateway drug. It's going to get me back.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, some of us were just born that way. I would have made a good hit woman. I missed my calling.
Oh, man, I can get you a job if you want to.
Oh, gee. Did they used to torture people?
Did we used to torture people? Yeah, I've heard of it. I'm not saying I've done it, but I've heard of it, yeah. I've heard of, getting picked up in cars and all like that kind of stuff. But, yeah, that was, that's back in the day before, cameras, as I said, cameras and phones and all that kind of shit. But, there was some dodgy dealings and dodgy activities in the cross back then.
I don't know why you guys didn't hire a dominatrix to do it. Half an hour tops, she would have got all the information out. No marks on his body whatsoever. He would have gone to the police.
But the guy might have enjoyed it.
Exactly.
So, I don't think that would have worked. But that's an odd one, that one. I don't know. I'm trying to think who would give to you to do that to. That'd be funny. Probably, I don't know. A lot of rivals. Yeah.
Just don't want to give anyone any ideas.
Oh, man. But no, they were good. Oh, that's a pity. Like the day, I actually miss them days. Sometimes I'll reminisce. Music brings me back to them days. You know what I mean? I can be driving in the car and I can be listening to some music, and then it just takes me back to either what door I was on or a situation. You know what I mean? Yeah,
because you had a lot of action back then.
Yes.
It's like a lot of excitement that only people would see in the movies.
Yeah,
you got to experience.
There's a lot of things that I've never brought up. There's a lot of things that I have brought up, but there's I've seen some shit.
Well, you can bring it up here. Do tell in detail.
Do tell in detail. Well, you know what I mean. Like, there's the time at DCMs when the drive-by happened. That was meant for me as a warning to John, because they, from what I gathered, it was to take out me because I knew how close I was to John. And I remember that the practice run of that shooting, that drive-by, the week before, we were standing outside DCMs, and it was about maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. And I just remember this maroon-coloured car sitting off by, at the top of the corner where I think it's Hungry Jack's is or something like that. And there was a lot of guys in this car. And then all of a sudden it drove so slow. And, at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're noticing a lot on the streets. And then I remember it just kept driving so slow, and all these hands were out the car, and then all of a sudden it came past us, and they just used their fingers to go like this to us, and we just thought, fuck off, like that. But then the following week, it actually happened, and you know what I mean? And they did the actual run, and I just remember, like, it must have been roughly probably 15 to 20 minutes before the shooting happened. I moved the bollards away from the hairdressers, which is next to DCM's, towards the door. Don't know why I did it. I've never done it before. I just did it. And when the shots happened, all the bullets, I think it was 5 to 6 bullets, went where I would have been standing. And then on the door, and then a few people got hit, as they were coming out the front door of DCM's. And, that was, what? Now I think about it, yeah, it's scary. You know what I mean? But back then, it is what it is. You don't think, oh, shit, I'm not coming back to work. It was just like, what the fuck just happened? Oh my God, the adrenaline's going, and that's it. And then the next day, you're over it, you talk about it, and you get on with your work. It's like, back at outside Dreamgirls and Porky's, I was standing there in the midweek. John was having a meeting downstairs. This guy kept walking up and down, up and down, up and down. And I felt this is odd. He was just walking, and it was like he was waiting for something. And then all of a sudden, he undone his zip, and then he just ran for the door, and then he pulled his gun out. And I remember he ran towards the Dreamgirls steps to go downstairs. And I just remember bolting to him and the glass on the side. Yeah. I remember just grabbing him, pushing him against the banisters and the glass, and just kept headbutting him till he dropped the gun. And then I kicked the gun down the stairs, and then I threw him down the stairs. And then, you just don't think in situations like that. But your adrenaline, my adrenaline was, he's got a gun. I'm here to look after John. This is what he's going for. You know what I mean? It might not have been for John. Could have been to rob the place. Who knows? But my adrenaline was get the gun off him and deal with him. So there has been some hair raising. As I said, I was involved. When John was, there was a hit on John. There was a lot of tension in the cross at the time. Back then, there was a big gang war going on at the time. It's now when I look back, you think. It's funny I say it. What the fuck was I doing? You know what I mean? Why would I put myself into that situation? But the thing is, you got to look at it. I did it because I was paid to protect somebody. If it be the Prime Minister, if it be Joe Blow, just because it's John Ibrahim doesn't mean I shouldn't have done it. As I said in my book and on my podcast, I lost my family because of it. They disowned me because they portrayed that I picked John over the family when I didn't. It's my job. But they asked me to leave John, and if I didn't leave, then I'd be kicked out the family, and I was kicked out. You know what I mean? And to this day, I've never spoken to them since. And that was back in 2007. That's happened. So, I've taken the consequences with my job. It's been a burden, but the thing is, I would never change anything. What I did, I only realize now that I was just a number. You know what I mean? I'm lucky enough to have got out of it. And tell my story.
Didn't they follow you to a shopping centre when you had your daughter?
That's when I had my daughter. My daughter was only so many months old. And I was walking in there to get some groceries. And then I remember seeing 2 rival gang members coming down an escalator, which they were coming from the gym in Ramwick Plaza. And I thought, oh, shit, I've got my daughter. I don't need any hassle. So I'll go back to the car, which the car was down in the car park. And as I've walked down there, they've spotted me and they followed me. And I thought, okay, it's, I've got to be careful here. You know what I mean? So my daughter's in a kind of a satchel kind of thing, and I'm carrying her. And as I got out, they've caught up to me, and they were going to pull a gun on me. They were going to shoot me there and then. And it was only I went like this. They thought I was holding a gun. They thought I'd come in with a gun. Of course. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I'd carry a gun in a sling, but anyway, they actually thought I was holding a gun. And I had to show my daughter's head. And it was only one of them who knew me from, he's with a rival gang, but he knew me. And he says, no. Out of respect, we'll let it go. But otherwise, if I wasn't at my daughter, I'd been shot that day.
Oh, your daughter saved you that day.
Saved my life that day, yeah. But as I said, there's been a lot of scary situations, but...
Does it make you wonder how long they've been watching you, if they know your moves of where you're going?
I think that was just by chance, you know. But, back in the day, there were certain areas I wouldn't go to when I was working for John. But, even before I met John and started working for them, I was hanging with a rival gang of John's for months and months. But, I was never going to turn into, be cropped to be a bikie. I was never fitted out to be a bikie. I would never do that. But, they were friends of mine, so I'm going to hang with them. doesn't mean I'm in their gang, but but you portray that, and the police portray that, rival gangs portray that because you're hanging with them all the time.
Yeah, a lot of doormen did that. They were friends with all the Bekes, and everything was cool until the clubs got involved and banned them. Then there was trouble.
Correct. And, you know, I did that. I don't sit on the fence. I do that because it's my job. You know what I mean? I'm not going to fucking start a war or an argument with a rival gang when I've got no need to. You know what I mean? I'm there to just make sure, okay, if he's in the cross and you're coming into my club, you know what? Everyone gets one chance with me. You know, and if you fuck up, you get out. You know what I mean? And that's what it was with me. You know, it doesn't matter if he was Joe Blow or you're fucking Australia's Most Wanted. I will let you in. You know what I mean? And sometimes I was told off for that. Sometimes it was all right, but you know, that's the way I roll. You know what I mean? That's how I always roll. I'd give one person a chance to come in. I used to cut people's hair on DCMs. I don't know if you know that. I used to cut their hair.
Yeah, and you collected them.
I used to collect them and leave them in the electricity box. You know what I mean? As a reminder.
Trophies.
Yeah, it was like a trophy. You know what I mean? And people can't believe that. I used to get people to do push-ups and sit-ups and even lunges outside the door if they wanted to get in. You know what I mean? I'd look at them and go, I don't know if I want to let you in. But you know what? If you do this for me, I'll let you in. And they did it. You know what I mean? I go, bro, now I'll walk you in. Because I get to see the character of that person. Because if he's willing to do that, then I know that, you know what, you're all right, man, you're okay. But if he goes, fuck you, fuck that, I'm doing it for you, well then, mate, I haven't got time for you. So I play with them a little bit, but it was in good nature, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So no PTSD from those days at all?
No, not really. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Sometimes I can sit there, and as I said, if I hear a music and it sets off, I'll reminisce. It's not a reminisce, a situation will come up. As I said, maybe it will be that, you know, when the gun was pointed at me or the drive-by happened at me, and then I'll think how lucky I was. You know what I mean? Or situations that I've never spoken about to anybody. You know what? Actually, you know what? I will. And it was only 2 days ago I went past Queen's Park, and I never bring it up when I go past Queen's Park, but that's the park where I tried to do a hit on myself. And I looked at the bench that I sat on, waiting for the hit. And I drove past it, quietly looked, and I seen it. And it's like, you know, I had my kids in the car, so I'm not going to bring up, that's where Dad, you know, tried to fucking get shot, you know, do a hit on himself. But it just brought back a lot of memories. And for the next hour, I'm just thinking about, wow, I actually went into the trouble of trying to do a hit on myself because I wanted that in my life. You know what I mean? And you know,
so who did you approach for that? You don't have to give names. I
approached somebody who I knew who was in the scene, a very good mate of mine. We were very close at the time, and he would do anything for me if I needed it. And I just turned around to him at this time and said, you know, I'm having a bit of beef with some guy. I need him sorted. You know, I don't want to get involved because I know him and this and that. He says, tell me who he is. I said, I can't tell you. I just know where he hangs out, and he'll be somewhere because he does a lot of shifty shit in Queen's Park. And I said, but he's always there at this certain time. And I made it out like he was a dealer. You know what I mean? So that way he would think, okay, that's why he sits in the park and this and that. And I said, he'll be here at this time of a night. And, you know, I remember going, instead of driving to the cross this night, I walked in the park because I knew there was going to be a hit. I was going to do it. I sat down, I put my hoodie on. And I remember just going, putting my hoodie over my head and waiting to be, you know, shot. And, you know, I don't know to this day, you know, what gave me away. Maybe it was my size. Well, everyone says...
No one else is built like you.
Everyone says it would probably been your size, Neil, and how you look. And I said, fuck, all right. It was pitch black, but, you know... And I remember he walked over and there was just silence. And I just remember I didn't want to look because I just didn't want to see... If he had that gun and he was going to do it, I didn't want him to, you know... And I just kept my head down and I was waiting. And I remember I was shaking, I was sweating. And then all of a sudden, I just got a smack on the side of the face. Like, my hood on, he just got a smack. And I just remember going down, and then he just went off. And then he said, don't ever fucking make me do this. What the fuck are you doing, Neil? Why you make me do this? Come here, and it's you. And I was on the floor. I remember I was on the floor on the grass by the park, and I didn't want to retaliate because, you know what? I just asked him to do something that I would never ask a mate to do. And I got up, and I remember he just grabbed me around my hoodie here, and he was having a go at me. And I was just in a mess. And then we spoke in the park, must have been for hours, man. And I explained my situation. And he just says, don't ever do that. And yeah,
No, that's a true friend. Even though he's a hitman, he's a true friend.
True friend, but
but a hitman.
It was very awkward to talk to him after that. Like, you know what? Because we were very close, but then it was very awkward because of the situation I'd put him in. I still see him now, but it's never brought up. Never brought up at all.
That's good. Someone was watching over you.
Yeah, someone was.
I know who is watching over you.
But I don't know. So no, that's the life, you know. As I said, you live. That's the reason why I got out, because it wasn't a life for me anymore. You know what I mean? You realise you're a number, as I said before. I just didn't see the loyalty and in the game anymore, and you know there was no trust there. The value had gone, and I didn't like who was in our circle anymore. And the generation was changing. It wasn't like, you know, it was back old school anymore, and that's why I made the decision to get out. You know what I mean? And new ventures.
Yeah.
That was it.
Did you ever get involved in the riots? I got stuck in one of the riots at the club, and that was the scariest thing I've ever encountered.
Yeah? When the police come in?
Yes. When they raided Dream Girls, that was when I just said, "No, I've had it with this place." I thought it was a terrorist attack.
Oh, yeah. They
were standing on girls.
Yeah.
They were slapping girls in the face with batons. Yeah. And I was like, "Nah, I'm out of here." And that's what made me just see myself, how they looked at me, how they looked at us, and what they were calling us, these police. Yeah. And I thought, they really don't respect us. They don't care about us. Yeah, usually they found a couple of bags of coke, and that was it.
Usually if we knew that we were going to get raided or something like that, I was given the heads up, so I wasn't around.
Yeah, I think they were given a heads up because I know how much stuff was in that place, and they never found it. Yeah. They found what the girls had on them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was always heads up, and I'd make sure I was always out the front or away from the venue, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to be like something like that or arrested for nothing, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I was never around. You know, DC's was raided and all like that, but, you know, I was downstairs on the door and they'd come up and do what they have to do. But as for anything else than that, I was never around for that kind of shit. Didn't want to. Kept my head down and walk away. I didn't like talking to police, you know what I mean? I just didn't like it.
When I was in that situation and I saw how the police looked at us, I didn't like them either. Yeah. And I just thought if I'm ever in trouble, I'm never going to them, because I can see the way that they look at strippers and the way that they just look down on us. And we were trash, looking for a couple of bags of coke, how they were just knocking girls in the face, knocking them over, standing on them. I'm like, this is so unnecessary.
Yeah. Because a lot of them are on power trips.
Oh, they were big time on power trips. I remember.
Back then, I don't know about now, because as I said, I'm at the scene, but the thing is, back then, there was a lot on power trips, and they didn't care who you were, you know what I mean? It was like, you know what, when you were given a job and to do that with the Raptor squad or the gang squad, they used to go in, it was like, they rubbed their hands together, we're going to there tonight, you know what I mean? Yeah. We can do this, and it's just like, And you try and, there's some coppers you try and work with, because, you know, if you work with them, life's easier at the cross. You know what I mean? And there was some I tried to do that with, but then you've got the ones on a power trip that just didn't want to know. And whatever they could find on you, they would just fucking try and put you down or fucking, you know what I mean, take you back to the station. They didn't give a fuck, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. So, I remember them coming in, one young guy going, "Okay, face down, sluts." It's like, what is this? What's going on? That's why I didn't think at the time I thought it was a terrorist attack. Okay. I thought there's no way cops could talk to us. They were all in black, and the way they're screaming and slapping girls in the face. And then I saw a female cop walk in. I was like, oh, thank goodness, it's only a raid. I'm fine. Then we had to stand outside in our lingerie, and I was like, are you kidding me? Can I get dressed?
Oh, man.
That's what made me rethink ever wanting to go to work in strip clubs anymore.
Good old days.
Good old days of King's Cross. I even lived there as well. In King's Cross. Yeah, I got to experience the heyday of King's Cross. I worked there, I partied there, I lived there.
Oh, wow.
Now I live in a small little isolated, semi-rural country town.
Yeah, I'm doing a documentary next week in the King's Cross, and I don't even know what I'm going to fucking talk about, because there's nothing there anymore.
There is nothing. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I've got to talk about the old days to what it's like now, and it's just like, oh my God.
You can talk about the cafes there.
The cafes, Cafe Roma. Cafe Roma. At least that's still there. But as for that, there's nothing there. Like, you look now and you see the Coke sign, but then you've got Woolworths on the other side, so you see Woolworths more than the Coke sign now. You know what I mean? So it's...
The King's Cross scared me the first time I saw it.
Yeah?
Oh, my goodness. When I came from Perth to Sydney, and there were prostitutes on the streets, and it was something I've never seen before. And then I realised after time, when I was walking home from work, I was safe with those prostitutes on the street because there's witnesses. No one's going to attack me. So as long as I saw them there and I was walking home, I'm like, I'm cool. No,
I remember going there, like, even before, like, I was anything to do with anybody there. I just wanted to keep going up there because I was fascinated. Like, I come from England and I've never seen, like, you know, there was escorts and prostitutes everywhere, and there was even trannies walking around, big dudes like dressed in as women. And I thought, this is fucking unreal. And I remember walking into the old Porky's before it got renovated.
Yeah.
And I remember, and then I went over to what was the one over across the road from Porky's?
Pink Pussycat?
Love Machine.
Oh, okay.
I went over there, and I remember there, and they didn't have beer. You know, you couldn't give you alcohol.
They never did in that day.
And the first time I seen a live sex show on stage, they just got a random to go and to perform sex with one of the girls. I just went, what the fuck's going on? I mean, I was looking at my mates going, we couldn't believe it. And because I'd never seen that before, but I was intrigued about the Cross after that. You know what I mean? I just wanted to go and party there all the time. You know what I mean? But that was, I had some good times partying there before.
And the strippers back then, there were strippers before that in the 80s, 90s were great, but the era I went there, they were the most dodgiest, scariest moles I've ever seen.
When you were there, was old Anne there? Anne? Big Anne? She worked upstairs?
Oh, not Anne. Debbie with no teeth. That used to be
Debbie
Penthouse
no teeth.
Pet. Yeah.
Debbie no teeth.
I still quote stuff that Debbie says to me to this day because people used to look at her and go, oh, junkie. But she used to be like a Penthouse Pet and runaway that really made something of her life. And then something happened. She got hooked on the drugs and she was still on that street from the time she was 13 till the time she died, which was like in her 40s, 50s. And she used to always tell me, get out of this place because you're going to lose your youth, your fertility, your everything in this place. Get out while you still can. And she died, overdosed during COVID because she had nowhere to go after they closed King's Cross down. So always, to this day, I warn girls about, be careful of that industry. It will take the best years of life.
I remember working upstairs when I used to work in the office in Porky's, looking after all the prostitutes. And I remember this young girl, she had a backpack on, a plastic bag, and she walked in and she says, any jobs? And I said to her, and I looked at her, how old are you? And she says, I'm 17. I says, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. She says, can I just stay here for a bit? And I said, no, you can't. So then I walked her out. And then I remember someone else said, no, you can stay. And I went, oh, fucking hell. Like, I didn't want her to stay. You know, she looked like she didn't know the industry or anything. I came back the next day. She's fucking working. You know what I mean? I looked at her and I went, what's going on? She says, oh, they gave me a job. What's your job? And then it was, she's working. I said, oh, my God, this is not good. And then she just stayed, and you could see the deterioration in her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though she's got a job, they're just feeding her, you know what I mean? And then it's just like, oh my God. I used to say to her, get out of here, go keep traveling, whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
she stayed.
They start to get that soulless look in their face.
Yeah.
The lights on, nothing's home type of look. And it makes me wonder, like, where are they now? Because a lot of those girls, when I started, are still working. And you can imagine they'd be in their grandma years now.
Yeah.
They're still there trying to make money, trying to live off their body. It's like it's the only thing that they know, the only thing where they feel value is this industry. I remember there was one girl that she would make her money, then run across the road, gamble it, go back, make money and gamble it.
Yes, I remember all them kind of girls. They make a big money and fucking just go on the pokie machines.
Yeah, and then the ones crying on the phone to their boyfriend that their boyfriend's saying, stay there until you make money.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not a boyfriend, that's a pimp.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the boyfriend refuses to pick them up from work because she hasn't made any money.
Yeah.
She has to walk home. I'm like, girls, what are you doing? Even though I was married to an idiot, I'm like, come on. It just got to the point where I would tell the girls, either do something about it or shut up about it because you're ruining my night. Don't cry to me about it unless you're going to do something because it's going to bring my night down. Because at the end of the day, you're going to run back to him.
Yeah. But sometimes I remember like when the boys used to turn up and the girls used to have to do it for free.
Which boys?
The boys, you know what I mean?
But the girls were the biggest pick-me's when he came in.
Like, my
goodness. They would have gone in the room with him for free.
Yeah, I know, but like, they don't understand. Like, it's 15 boys turning up and, you're not getting paid for this. And even downstairs, the strippers, you ain't getting paid for it. You know what I mean? And you'd end up, you just see them. It's like, okay, fair enough. You realise you're not making money from this, don't you? But they didn't care. Yeah,
I was at a couple of Christmas parties with them there. And the girls would completely change when those boys were there. They were just the biggest pick-me's, like, oh, guys, just choose me to be your girlfriend type attitude.
Yeah.
And they were just, no socialising with the other girls. It was more impressing these guys on the boat and back at John's house. It was all about impressing them. Like, I never went to Christmas parties after that because they just weren't
They didn't
fun.
try and pick you up?
Huh?
They didn't try and pick you up?
Oh, there was a couple. Yeah, but as you know, I was married. I couldn't really do anything, and none of them were really appealing to me. And I've had enough friends that dated guys that were there that never turned out good, even though I've got shocking taste in boyfriends. And I did have a boyfriend come down there. And that was the time I was dating a fighter. And this guy was huge. And I broke up with him. And he decided to come down to Dreamgirls to confront me. These bouncers, these puny bouncers could not take him on. He was just knocking them out of the way, asking for me. And that's when Michael stood up to him. He said, no, get out, get out. And that's when, they managed to hold him off. Yeah. And Michael said, he's here. I need to escort you out the back. Like, honestly, he's tearing the place apart. And I was like, oh, no, I'm so sorry, Michael.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
No, but none of the boys could stop him?
He was a fighter. He was just picking them up and just tossing them. Oh, I'm like, oh, no. And I just told him, just tell him that I don't work here anymore.
Wow, that's not good. That's not good for the venue. No one could handle it.
Oh, no, Michael stood up to him. I'm like, good on you. To this day, Michael was not scared. And Michael kind of stood up to him and banned him from the place. But this guy pushed past security.
Yeah, the security was shit.
Coming down, because I blocked him. I said, listen, I'm done with you. I've had enough. You're an absolute nutcase.
Wow.
That's the guy that, during a sex game, he actually strangled me until I passed out. And I'm like, that's not how you play it. No, you're not trying to kill me. It's actually trying for,
okay.
But no, he actually choked me during sex and then panicked when I didn't wake up. And I'm like, well, duh. He actually had to let go at some point. And then we had to go to ER to see if I was okay.
Oh, my God.
So he was not very smart.
Oh,
I'm sorry, bless him. He's not very smart, but he was.
Hell, that's funny. Oh, God.
Living proof that you've get knocked in the head too many times.
Oh, fun days. Yeah.
So would you recommend any young boys get into that lifestyle?
No, not a chance. Not a chance. And like if I could tell anybody, a lot of people, like, I get messages still to this day that I became a doorman or security just because of you. When I used to come to clubs, I used to look at you and want to be a doorman. And I go, oh, fuck. And I see them being doormans now. But if anyone now told me you want to be going that lifestyle, I'd say don't. You know what I mean? Even if my kids get older later, I wouldn't want them going to the cross. No way in the world. I don't even think I don't even party in Sydney anymore. It's that shit. You know what I mean? The young generation coming through now is nothing like it was for us. Everybody in our generation, well, especially my generation, it was to go out and have a good time. You know what I mean? I was dead against DCMs, all right? And I swear I was dead against it. But when I started working there, I actually seen why it was so successful and why it was so popular, because people went there and all they did was just dance, respectful, and left the venue. You know what I mean? And that was the whole of Oxford Street if you really wanted it to be. You know what I mean? Oxford Street was like that.
It was great back in the day.
You went there, you partied, you had a laugh, you smiled, you had a few drugs, and then you fucking went home. You know what I mean? Or you went home fucking Monday. You know what I mean? But, that was life. Now it's like, you go out and within 5-10 minutes, someone spilled a drink on you, or you've spilled a drink on somebody, and it's all on. You know what I mean? And it's not the way to be. And as I said, it puts me off going out, and I definitely would not, even if you gave me now one of the best clubs to work at and look after, I'd say no, wouldn't do it. The venues and the atmosphere is just now shit.
Yeah, because you've got a lot of wannabe gangsters.
There's a lot of wannabe gangsters out there now. You know what I mean? And they they don't want to earn their stripes. They don't want to show respect. It's all on for all on hold now, and it's
that's what I have to say. These guys, these scary underworld figures, were the nicest, most respectful men I've met. They were not rude to the women.
No.
They were, even if it was the girl that worked in the club, they were all respectful. I remember John even telling off a guy, one of his friends, that was rude to me.
Yeah,
and. Yeah, a lot of them are like, oh no, I'm going to be Andrew Tate. I'm just going to talk down to these bitches, and
that's where it all comes from. It comes from social media now.
Yeah,
and it comes from the way what you see on TV now. It's like, well, I can act like that. There's no respect for anyone. Like for young generation, will not show anyone older any respect. The young generation won't show females any respect. You know what I mean? Like I would never go off at a female. You know, the only female I've tried to hit was a tranny on the door because she threw a high heel at me.
That's not a female.
Well, you've got to say it when she's got a skate on. You know what I mean? But as I said, you know, if I had to deal with a female, it was very hard. You know, I would admit that, but I've not had many circumstances where I've had to, you know, situations where I've had to do it. You know what I mean? But other than that, you know, today's generation is, not good.
But I also realised from working with these guys, even when Michael got into trouble, he had a whole club full of girls that would have defended him.
Yeah.
And when stuff went down with him, all the girls were there to defend him, saying, no, it's not true. Even though we don't know to this day if it was true or not, but all these girls said, no, it's not true.
They're all there to defend him because he slept with every one of them.
Not me.
I slept with every
I told him I was a lesbian and he left me alone.
That would have made it even worse.
No. He left me alone after that when I said I was a lesbian.
There wasn't many girls that I didn't know that he slept with, and it was just like, what the fuck?
One of them.
Which one are you with tonight? Which one are you with this week?
Oh, he was always with someone. We're taking a new girl to the office. Yeah, yeah.
Like when a girl came to work in there, it was like, I've got to show the ranks. I've got to see how she is.
He tried it with me, and then he gave me a lap dance on the first day. I'm like, dude. And then he sent me a message, and I said, listen, I have to be honest with you. I'm actually seeing a woman. I'm in a relationship. I'm a lesbian. I'm not. But it worked for me. It worked in my favour. Yeah. We've still remained friends to this day, but I think he knows now that I was never a lesbian.
Nah. Wow.
Even if it meant making out with a girl in front of him. And one day bringing a girl in there, I said that was my girlfriend.
Yeah.
But no, thank goodness he treated me like one of the bros after that.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
But no, I never had any situation because you don't bonk the boss. I did that when I was modelling and realised it was not good.
Didn't get you anywhere?
It actually did, but it actually caused a lot of trouble, a lot of confrontation because you realise you're not the only girl.
Yeah, he's doing it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did that make it, in a way, did that make you jealous?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I got really upset. I'm meant to be the only one. I'm the special one.
Oh, no, nothing that well.
Yeah, it did help in the beginning. It helped a lot. But I have to say, a lot of my modelling work I did on my own. I didn't really need an agency for that.
Okay.
Agencies take a big cut, like worse than the strip clubs.
Yeah. Well, never been in that situation before.
No. Tell us about your star moment, being Australia's most wanted.
My star moment? Wow, that was, it wasn't really a fucking star moment for me. It was a fucking, one of the biggest holes I've ever been in. But I remember on the Sunday, before it got out to the media, I was getting phone calls on a private number. And it was constant. And I just remember, oh, fuck, who could this be? And I don't like answering private numbers. You know what I mean? And I just thought, I've got to answer this call because I don't get it. And it was the Daily Telegraph. And they turned around and said, hey, Neil, how are you? And I said, good. And I said, what's the problem? And at the time, the situation for the Ibrahims had just come out with them in Dubai, you know, what they were going through. And I thought, listen, I turned around to him straight away and I just said, listen, if you want any info on what's going on, I'm not talking. So you're not going to get any info from me if that's what you want. And he goes, no, it's not about them, it's about you. And I said, oh, fuck, what is it now? What have you got? He goes, we're doing an article on you tomorrow morning, Australia's Most Wanted. And I laughed. I said, what the fuck are you on about? And they turned around and says, we have got information here and that you are wanted, you're a wanted fugitive. And I said, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I said, listen, I'm not talking anymore. And I said, well, we're still going to run with it and you will be front page. So I got off the fucking phone and I'm thinking, what the fuck? And I'm panicking. You know, I'm absolutely panicking now. And at the time I was doing personal training. So I'm trying to ring my solicitor and he's on a fucking cruise ship on a holiday, right? And I eventually got through to him after about maybe 10 calls. And he goes, I'll call you when I get back. I'm docking tomorrow. Go and hide in the hotel. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? I've got to hide. So I get home, I'm panicking like fuck. I book into the Novotel. Okay, now I'm thinking, what am I going to do here? Tomorrow, I'm thinking, this will go away. It was a bad dream. You know what I mean? The next day, I'm front page. Not front page, I'm the first 6 pages of the Daily Telegraph. Every page is about fucking me, what situations I've done, what I've done in my life. Everything's about me. Then it's on fucking, I remember Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, ABC. Like it even reached UK because I got my dad, and I wasn't talking to my dad at the time. And he sent me a message. And this time I'm absolutely freaking, because I'm freaking now. Australia's Most Wanted. This is massive. You know what I mean? This is jail time. Whatever it is, I'm going for my head. I know I haven't killed anyone, but then you start thinking, have I? You know what I mean? What have I done wrong? You know what I mean?
So what were you supposedly wanted for?
I was wanted for extortion. I remember what I did. Well, like, it was, I got a job from somebody around in Sydney. He wanted help. He was going to lose all his property. He was a businessman, and he was a former broker. And this guy had stung him about 600K. And I didn't know this bloke from a bar of soap, but I knew who I was introduced to. I'd been a friend with for a couple of years. I knew him. And he says, Neil, can you help us out? And I said, have you got all the paperwork? I said, yeah. He said, well, if you've got the paperwork, I'll try and help you. I said, but, I don't want to go too deep. I'm not going to put it on him. I'll do it all professional. I did it all fucking professional. I remember I went down to Coffs Harbour and met this guy, right? He was doing some seminar. I waited for him to come out, and he came out. We spoke for about maybe 20 minutes. I said, first of all, he lied to me. He says, no, I don't know this money, don't know who this person is. And then I pulled all this paperwork up and I put it on there. It was like that. I said, so tell me about this then. And then I even told him who I was. I wasn't there to hide anything. But the dumb fuck who drove me down there went behind my back. So while I'm sitting down at the pokie machines and I've finished my conversation, I'm ready to leave from Coffs Harbour and go home, the dumb fuck who drove me went and put it on him and told him to get money out the ATM, but didn't tell me. So he's gone to the ATM, took money off him, and like it's kind of put it on him. Then that guy's gone straight to the coppers. I didn't know anything about that. So I've gone about my merry day thinking everything's sweet. The guy said, I'm going to ring you in within 7 days to try and sort this out. So I'm thinking, okay, went back to them. He's going to do this for you. All good. And that went on that was 3.5 years. After that, that's when it all came out. I'm on social media. I'm doing personal training. I even went to some festival in Blacktown where I'm with probably 4 detectives and a sergeant and a constable in a picture for Blacktown Festival. I took a picture with them because they remembered me. And yet the police are looking for me for 3.5 years.
Yeah, I remember when the story came out, I just kept thinking, Neil, what have you done, mate?
It wasn't, but
it was
okay.
Very big.
Yeah, it was big because they thought that the Ibrahims were involved in the extortion to get the money, and it wasn't. It was just I was helping someone trying to get it back. That's all it was. So that's when it came to that, and I gave myself up. I went into to do a statement. They said, "Go on your merry way. We're happy with your statement," but they said they were looking for me for 3.5 years. When they grabbed me, like I'm telling you, everyone gives you up. When that first paper and
your next door neighbour, you said.
My next door neighbour gave me up. Like,
did you go back at least?
I wanted to, but then
just
I thought
a quick one.
I wanted to, but then the amount of shit that I was in, I just didn't want to. Like I was very careful after that. You don't understand. Like it was like all eyes were on me. I remember being in the Novotel, and when I was in the Novotel and I was going up to my room. When you're hiding from somebody and you don't want to be seen, and then all of a sudden the 2 plasmas above the lift came on Channel 9, and it was me, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh my God, you know what I mean? I'm thinking, please no one look at that TV because I'm trying to hide. I come down for in Novotel and your buffet breakfast, and I'm walking down thinking I'll get some breakfast before I hand myself into to the police. And what is it? Everyone's got the paper on the fucking, reading the paper, and there's Neil on the front page. And it's
like, if they looked up and saw it.
And I just went, what the fuck? So I forgot about my breakfast, went straight up to my room. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I was panicking, like, because I just didn't want the police to come and raid. Yeah. And I remember before I gave myself up, I was with my 2 boys, and you're trying to explain to them, like, Dad's in a bit of trouble. Didn't want to panic them, but they knew because, they're seeing it on the telly. My thing with the police for this situation was they're putting me up as Australia's Most Wanted. Now, the reason why they put it up for me and used my profile was they had another 20 people they were trying to find in the country. Murderers, pedophiles, you know what I mean? But they put my name
next
in that
to
dirt.
All that, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, people were thinking that I was a murderer, You know what I mean? And I wasn't. I did not. I've got the
I
cleanest
think it's
name.
because your photo was the scariest compared to all of them. That's why they put you front and center.
Probably because, you know, I was high profile.
Yeah.
And it did. It worked because I remember after the court case, I said to one of the police, how many people did you find from that group? And they said they found 11, including me, 12. So that little scam worked for them, using me as bait. But the thing is, they never apologized for doing it because, you know,
of course not, yeah.
You know, you put me up there, I lost, you know, personal training. The funny enough, you know, going back a bit, when I did personal training, right, and I was supposed to be Australia's most wanted, and they're looking for me for 3.5 years. I used to do personal training in St. Mary's, right? I was just next to the cop shop, right? And this airplane, the helicopter used to hover every time I was doing personal training. And I'm thinking, I remember the clients all used to go, "Are you wanted, Neil?" And I go, no, I'm out of the scene now. But this is when the police were looking for, and I'm thinking back then now, did they know where I was? Because they were looking at me. But, you know, it's just funny how things happen. But, yeah, as I said, it wasn't good what happened. You know, I went through court for nearly 2.5 years trying to clean my name. No apology from the police. When I gave myself up, I thought, you know what? I'll go in with my 2 boys, then they won't fucking do anything stupid. In front of my boys, they put me on the floor. 6 detectives, 2 constables stood on top of me, ran me against the wall. You know what I mean? I walked in freely to say I'm here. You know what I mean? And then I remember when I was in the cell, one of the coppers came up to me and goes, "I bought your book. Can you sign it for me?" I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I said, "I'm not going to sign your fucking book." You know what I mean? You've got me in a cell. You want me to sign? I said, "Nah, man." And I remember they put me downstairs because to see if I could get bail. And they stripped me naked. And they're supposed to ask are you affiliated with anybody or anything like that. And they didn't ask me. They just put me in a cell with 3 other guys. And I'm standing there and they put me naked. And then they kicked all my clothes outside the cell and made me walk and get them. They were supposed to be sitting there. You know what I mean? But they kicked them out and made me walk and get them because they knew who I was. So they were just taking the piss out of me all the time. They didn't ask if I wanted a drink, no food. And I was stuck down there for 4 hours. You know what I mean? Then I got my bail and then, you know, I was released. So...
Yeah, and that happened like years after you'd left the scene and just...
Yeah, this was 2017. I left in 2000, just before 2014 I left, 2013.
Yeah, I can understand. Like, I didn't have it to your extent, but it similar happened to me last year of being exposed in the media and who I was in the past when I'm just trying to give a normal life. So I can imagine, like, it was very upsetting for that day. But I can imagine, like, on your level, that would have been...
Because everyone was looking at me in a way, like, you know... Now I know how to use it. You know what I mean? Being Australia's most wanted, I've used it well because I sat down with myself and said, you know what, it is bad, but I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to roll with it because it can get me good exposure. And I used it to my advantage. But back then, you know, my best friends who I thought had my back were flicking me away. Yeah. You know what I mean? They didn't want to know me. You know what I mean? And that's the thing where you go, you know what? And now they want to come back into my life because they can see I'm doing well with my podcast.
Tell them to go away.
You know what I mean? But where were you when I needed you? What was going on there?
Like, you would have felt like it was rock bottom. It was the end.
It was.
But it's just like, sorry to bring faith into it, but God can change anything. It's just a good example of that, how you, honestly, you've built yourself up so well now. You're actually one of the most respected people in the whole podcast scene, and you're doing even better now. You're on like mainstream shows.
Really? Okay.
And you went from Australia's most wanted.
I'll take that.
Now I see it's on Good Morning Australia, sitting there smiling, promoting your book. It's amazing how God can turn everything around. It
is. Like, sometimes I look at it and how I've turned myself around, and, you know, but this way, I've never tried to be a bad boy. I've never tried it. Yes, I've looked after bad boys, but I've never tried to it. You know, I've got my head screwed on from good to bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? But the thing is, people just think because you're affiliated, you are a bad person, and it's not. You know, I wrote a book to try and show people that I'm not that kind of person.
And my name's in it.
Yes. You know, and that didn't work. It worked in a way, and that's why I went down the podcast scene, because, you know what, I needed to express my story better. And I think it
helps a lot of people, because I know, same as you, like, I was suicidal at that one point, but it also shows a lot of people that it's not the end of the world. Something good can come from that.
Yeah, you know what? And it's funny you say that, because I was gobsmacked, and still to this day, because and this is God's the truth. I'll say this on my kid's life. I get messages from a lot of males saying that I've saved their life. My podcast has saved their life. And when I get these messages, I've got goosebumps now. I go, what the fuck? You know, I didn't realize my podcast was that powerful. You know what I mean? You know, and I think about I understand that some of the stories can help and all like that, but it really threw me back that, you know, this guy was willing to commit suicide, but my podcast saved him. And now he just listens to it every day. Every Monday it drops. He's there every day waiting for it to drop.
Yeah, and you went from Australia's most wanted to Australia's most respected, that people actually watching your show, they're inspired by your show, they're inspired by your life story, and that's something that you could never see coming. It's amazing how things could turn around.
I feel like sometimes I talk too much about my life story, so that's why I've stopped. You know what I mean? And then when I stop, they send me messages. Oh, we want to hear more of the cross.
You don't know who you're inspiring, who your story is really inspiring, because there's a lot of people that
sometimes I think I bore them. I do. Sometimes I think on my podcast, I must be boring these people.
There's always someone who's never heard your story.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I mean. Like that's why I've started reposting a lot of stuff on my podcast, or bringing out episodes again, because I've realized now that when you've just joined my podcast and you've just realized, oh my God, I've just found it. They might not have seen what I've posted or seen an episode, so I can't repost it again now. And you know what I mean. So I think when I get the they say to me, and this is where I stay true to myself. A lot of people thank me just for replying to a message. And they say to me, I can't believe, Neil, you replied to my message. And I said, why wouldn't I? I said, because I've tried to message out and reach out to a lot of people in podcasts or on social media, but they're all, you know, they're up here and think they're all that, and they won't reply to me. But you always reply to my message. And I said, well, bro, without you, my podcast would be nothing. You know what I mean? You follow it. You've been there. You every time I drop something, I always see that you like it. You know what I mean? You say that you do comments. Why wouldn't I reply to you? And he just goes, because you're up there. And I said, no, man, I'm not up there. I said, my podcast is up there, but I'm still on the ground, bro. You know what I mean? So it's... Any
plans for another book?
Oh, I've got 3 books.
You got 3 coming out?
I've got 3 books coming out.
Nice.
So I've got one, I'll actually give you an exclusive. So in the next 2 weeks, I've got an unlimited edition of a book that's just basically on my podcast. So it's from the first episode to season 11, and it's exclusive behind the scene footages and photos of everything that I've done from season 1 to now, and it's a massive picture book, 58 pages of picture book. It's an unlimited edition. That's coming out in 2 weeks. I got my time when I looked after Ronaldinho. I've wrote a book for that. That's nearly finished, and I've got an uncut version of my first book, The Muscle, which I'm going to be able to tell more, which I couldn't tell about Australia's Most Wanted. I'm going to be able to tell that and some other stories that I haven't brought up. That's in the third book. Oh, nice. Oh, sorry, and there is a 4th book.
Oh, okay.
But it's very hard. That's a DCM's book, and I'm finding that very hard to do. But yes.
No, DCM's book would just be a lot of mess.
But what
a big blur.
But what I've done with that, I'm not writing it.
Yeah.
I'm actually letting people say it themselves. So they're sending their pictures in, their stories in, and that's all it is. It's their stories.
I think we all got a DCM story.
Everyone's got a DCM story.
Oh my goodness.
Everyone's got it.
My first threesome was at a DCM.
Fucking hell, you've done a lot of things, haven't you?
Coming from you,
I feel like I've lived a boring life.
Oh, come on.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, fucking hell. First threesome. Jesus.
Oh, come on. That was so common back then.
Huh? Wow. Don't know. Looks like I've missed out on all the fun here.
I was going through my experimental phase when I first got to Sydney, and yeah, it was just an experience. And if I did anything like that afterwards, it was strictly for work.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Years later, and performing or for a video.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But no, DCMs was experience for all of us. It was, as you said, a rite of passage.
Yeah.
That, and I worked at Good Bar. Remember old Good Bar back in the day?
You worked at Good Bar?
Yeah, I was a door girl. We called door bitches back then.
Hold on, what year was Good Bar?
Yeah.
When?
Early 2000.
See, I was at Good Bar from 2004 till 2007.
No,
I run the door there.
I was before that.
Oh, okay.
No one told me that Because I used to date one of the doormen there.
Oh my fucking God.
And we used to have a bit of fun in the storeroom.
Oh my fucking God.
And then years later, I told the owner.
Oh my fucking God.
That what we used to do in the storeroom when he wasn't there. And he goes, yeah, you didn't know we had cameras, right?
Oh my fucking
right.
God.
He saw everything.
It's funny. You know what? What's funny? Everyone must have been scared of me to talk to me because I never got approached for anything like this. It was just like, do you want drugs, Neil? Or I'll give you steroids to get in. But it was but that's
no one offered me steroids to get in. I was the door girl.
I used to get offered steroids every weekend. Neil, I'll give you steroids if you let me in for free.
All I heard was I'm a model, and my agency says that I shouldn't pay coming in here. And I tell them, yeah, we're all models here, but we're still paying.
Jesus.
Yeah, then I used to get mad at my door guy that I was seeing for letting people in for free.
Which door guy was it?
Greek.
He was Greek?
I'm not going to say his name.
Well, there's only one Greek I know who's worked there.
Who?
Fuck. He was there. He was good friends with Peter Lowe and what's his name? Eric. He was very good friends with Eric.
Yeah. No, it can't be the same one though.
No?
Very pretty guy.
Oh, I didn't see any pretty doorman. I was the only pretty one there.
That was, I think, before your time because he left after that.
Okay. All right.
I think he left the same time I did after that riot happened down there.
Okay. What, the riot?
Yeah.
No, that was when I was there because I came down to stop it.
No, that must have been another riot because I remember people getting smashed on the head with bottles and I went, nah, I'm done. I'm out of here because there's only one way out of that downstairs.
There's only one way in.
Yeah, and people were just screaming trying to get out of that. And I was at the front door. It was hard enough for me to get out. Imagine the people down there. So I thought, stuff my bag, stuff everything, which got stolen in the riot. I'm like, I'm out of here.
Oh, okay, because I remember I had to go down there for an instant that when a certain gang walked in and tore the place apart. We all got the phone call from the cross to go down and help out.
Yeah, that was early 2000.
Yeah, that was early 2000s. It would have been that was 2008.
Oh no, mine was before that. Because they knew that downstairs area, if you did anything down there, it was hard to get up those stairs, especially, oh my goodness. And I hated working in the coat room downstairs because...
There was one way out of there. There was one way. Like everyone says there's only one way out, but there was another way out where you could go back behind the terrace houses and get out on the main street around the corner.
Well, they weren't opening it for those people. People were stuck together. People were screaming. People were getting hit by bottles on their head in front of us. Okay. And I lost my bag and everything that I had in the cloakroom.
Wow.
It was, my first ride I've ever been in.
Wow. You see, you've done a lot of things like I've done.
Almost civilized. Getting
you've had threesomes.
People.
I've had threesomes.
Oh, yeah, right. Come on, early 2000, everyone was having threesomes.
Fucking hell, as I said, I only got off of drugs, you get off of fucking sex.
No, I got off a lot of drugs while I was in the sex industry. Never had to pay for them.
Back in the day, you didn't have to. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it was fun at the time. Oh, those cocaine parties. Gone snowing. And then the next day, That's why I don't touch them. I don't refuse to go back to them because the next day, I always remember it's the suicidal next day.
Yeah.
That calm down is horrific. And when I got onto medication, which made me suppress a lot of stuff, I couldn't get high.
Wow.
I could not get high. That's why torturing myself so badly with electricity got me high, because I couldn't get a proper drug high. It's weird you haven't tried it, mate. Don't knock until you tried it.
I've tried it on people. They owe money.
What, for free? Come on.
Wow. Okay, fair enough.
No, that was the one thing that did get me off drugs, was being on medications.
Yeah.
That were just suppressing all those feelings. And that's the one thing I miss is that tense machine. That is like, if anyone asks if I miss having company because I'm single, I'm like, I miss the tense machine. I was in a relationship with that thing for a long time. Then I had to throw it out when I moved away from BDSM, because it was the number one that kept drawing me back was electricity. That was electrocuting myself.
Just go to your meter box.
Huh?
Just go to your meter box.
Don't tempt me. Don't give me ideas.
Oh, God.
That was the bomb, that thing. But even though talking to my old friends in the BDSM scene, I had to stop the conversations about that because it brought back old memories of that machine. And I'm like, nope, Can't talk about it because I'll be tempted to actually go buy one again.
Oh, good.
Used to make myself happy and realize I could have hurt myself pretty badly. Soon I was underestimating how rough I was going on myself, and when I used it on a client, I realized, hang on, that's a bit too high. I'm starting to get immune to it.
Oh my God. No.
Damn, and you were doing it for free, mate. You could have made money.
Free. Yeah, well, it wasn't for free. It took a lot of time and effort.
What do you use, a car battery?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. No, I didn't. I just had the machine that was especially made to.
Okay. No, ours wasn't specially made. And the person who we connected to was just in a bit of a water. We put his feet in water. That was it.
And how did that work? It made it worse?
Made it worse, yeah, because you put his feet in the water and as you're electrocuting him.
Have you ever been electrocuted?
Have I been electrocuted? Yeah, I've been electrocuted.
Yeah.
Not for fun.
Yeah.
You're the lucky one who gets electrocuted for fun. Yeah, I didn't get electrocuted for fun.
The thing that I liked about that kind of pain because of how it never left a mark, and it's the pain that went past the nerve endings to the bone. It actually really intensely hurt, and it's the type of pain that got me to the euphoric part of pain very quickly.
Okay.
That's why I was very much into it. And I'm not like the others that were sticking needles and cutting themselves, so I was kind of going into that there. But no, never used a car battery. I used the box that was especially made for BDSM.
Okay.
No, car battery, I would have done myself out. At least with that tense machine, I could switch it off.
Oh, no, we used to use the gas pedal. Oh, man. Okay.
And no waterboarding either.
No. Oh, well.
You guys could have taken people to the dungeon. We could have dealt with them.
Didn't know about them places back then.
You didn't?
Didn't know about them.
Or some of the guys did know, but they didn't tell you.
Well, probably. It's a good job they didn't tell me because I would have looked at them in a weird way if they'd have told me.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say I've seen a bit familiar faces, but
really?
Yeah.
No. If anyone had told me that, I would have looked at them in a weird way.
A lot of people would come there, like they wanted to test their pain threshold for how much they can handle. I think they were trying to prepare themselves for something.
Oh, my God.
So, no, they weren't all doing fisting and sodomy on themselves. It was testing their pain threshold of how far they can go. That's why later on when I'd run into these people, I'd go, ah!
Oh, my God. Okay.
But no, I never saw Neil there. So
Definitely didn't see me there.
But you did go to Fetish House. Did you go?
No, I didn't go because I tried to get an interview at Fetish House and they declined to do it. So they wouldn't do it. I pushed and pushed for that interview, but they couldn't do it. So a bit disappointing, but never mind.
No, not missing out on much. I heard the BDSM scene has gone down.
Okay.
Since COVID lockdown, and it's hard to. The professionals are just not there anymore. It's just any girl in a Honey Birdette costume that's got a little whip and calls herself a dominatrix.
Okay.
People are getting seriously hurt now. It's not like us that were trained, especially. Yeah. That's the thing about a dominatrix. It doesn't matter what you look like. You just have to be good at what you do.
Mm. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I'll keep that one. I'll pass on that one. As I said, that's not me. I think I'm just a boring. I am boring, really. Everyone thinks I'm fucking up, but I've led the boring life by the sounds of it.
So no choking anyone?
No, don't choke. No choking. No fucking hell. Oh,
I need to get away from that stuff now.
No porn movies. No threesomes. I'm the boring.
No videos.
No videos. Oh no, nothing. No, sorry. I'm boring.
No, that's the life I got. That's why I'm celibate. I got to get away from that. So one day, if it's God's intention for me to have a relationship, I want a normal one. Yeah. I don't want anything like that into it. And that's what may tempt me in case. And hopefully I don't meet anyone that's into that because it'll be a disaster. Yeah. Because I know what that kind of relationship is like. It works for some people, but it's not for where I want to be anymore. I want to get that healthy mindset right and just have a normal relationship without, let's get those sounding rods out.
Oh, no. Oh, well, that's good.
Nah, and not have to do role plays or anything.
No.
Oh, my goodness.
No role plays.
That was with my ex-husband and all those costumes. Half the time I wasn't wearing.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Dress-ups?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't get the dress-ups. I've never been into something like a dress-up. At the end of the day, it's coming off anyway, so it's don't know why
Oh,
they
you
dress up.
act the role, you act the
act the role.
part.
Okay.
He was sometimes Harry Potter.
He's what?
Yeah, he wanted to.
Yes.
You remember what he looked like? He looked like Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yeah, see, that's.
You didn't even watch the movie, so it wasn't.
I'm definitely boring then. Jesus Christ, I've missed out on life. Fucking hell. Dressing up as Harry Potter to have sex games. No.
Yeah, have a spice up, and then it's just, to me, it's like fantasizing being with another person.
Wow. Okay.
I'm like, well, if you're not happy with me and you need a role play a fantasy, and then no. And then I remember him once calling me by my work name, and that's when I thought, no.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
So, yeah. So what's next for you?
What's next for me? As I said, I've got my books. I've got 2 documentaries that I'm doing, which one is next week. I'm doing the King's Cross and Oxford Street on the nightlife and how it's changed. Then I'm doing another documentary on my life and going around King's Cross and Oxford Street talking about situations. Nowadays, I'm into a lot of sporting events. So I'm trying to bring out, do a sporting event this year. I'm not going to say what it is. Going to keep that quiet. My new podcast, Game On, that's coming out. That's a sports podcast that comes out next week. That drops. So I'm looking forward to that one with the people that I've got coming on. And I'm trying to do a football soccer show where I'm going to get. It's going to be a YouTube one for now until I can push it to try and get it on a TV or some kind of. Stream it, but that's my next goal, is to be a TV. I'd love to have a radio show, but then people tell me, you've got a podcast. Podcasts are bigger at the moment, but they don't get what I want to do. You see, my when I say I want to do a radio show, you can get phone-ins, you can play some music, you can have a few intervals and get people on. I know I get them on live, but I can get them live. You know what I mean? It's phone-ins, competitions. I want to enroll everything that I've got on my podcast onto a radio show. You know what I mean? I know that if I did that, Carl and Jackie O would not be number one anymore. I'm telling you right now. But my main goal, and I don't want to sound too big-headed, but I'm trying to change my podcast to be like Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? I want to be the Joe Rogan of Australia. You know what I mean? Where it's different, raw, and I get guests on that no one else can get. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, you know what? I think that Australia's Most Wanted was the best thing that happened to you, because, man, that changed your life too. Would you even imagine back then that this would be you now?
No. Oh,
exactly.
No. I'm the quietest person in the world. For me to have a podcast and do interviews and have my own studio and get myself on social media and get talking, that's not me. You know what I mean? Like, it's never been me. I'm the quietest person in the pack. But I've learned to, I've learned to tell my story, and I've learned to talk more. It's funny enough. I've just remembered there is something that's big going to happen this year, and it's going to be my first. I've done a few live shows. All right, I've done a very small live shows, but I have got a live show that I'm planning with 3 guests to come from America, and it's going to be a first in Australia, and it's going to be a first for them. They've approached me. I didn't approach them. They approached me because they reached out to me because they're in America and they've listened to my podcast in America. Which when I first got the message from them on Instagram, I actually thought someone was taking the piss. I thought it was a fake account. And then when they said, let's do a Zoom, I thought, someone just wants my number here. So I said, yeah, you know what? Video time me now and let me see who I'm talking to. They video timed me. I went, oh, fuck. So I said, let's do the Zoom. So now we've talked, and now I'm getting it all together to do this live show. I'll tell you now, I've never mentioned this on a podcast yet, but I'm going to mention it now. The people I'm bringing to do this live show in mid-year are the guys that brought El Chapo down.
Nice.
So they're going to come and do a live show here, 2-hour show on how they brought El Chapo down. And it'll be huge. It's going to be massive. They've never spoken to anybody in America. They've never done a live show in America about this. I will be the first podcast. Well, it's not a podcast. It's a live interview. But yeah, I'll be the first one. to do this interview.
That's awesome. I think you're actually living proof of that part in the Bible that says rejoice in the bad times because you know something good is coming up. It's
Hope so.
something along that line, that always rejoice when you're going through a bad time because you know it's because something really good is coming up soon.
Well, I always have my fingers crossed.
You could be in prayer positions.
You know what I mean? As I said, I work my ass off to try and make it happen. You know what I mean? And sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. But you know, I don't get my head down. You know, I don't go, oh shit, you know, I'm over this. You know, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But as I said, my podcast, with my podcast, Secrets of the Underworld, it changed the way I did it when I got these messages, as I said before. I didn't realize how powerful it was. I knew how powerful it was in like on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It was big. But I don't really see how big it was to the average Joe Blow, a truck driver. You know, I get him through from A to B. Without my podcast, you know, he says, I've got nothing to do, Neil. But your podcast, listen to 2 episodes, 3 episodes till I get to Melbourne. I love it. You know what I mean? You know, it's saving someone's life. How can my podcast save someone's life? You know what I mean? And that's what changed my ways of like, fuck, this is insane. So that's why I put more of an effort in now with my podcast to make sure that I get the best interviews and I do my socials better, or I do, you know, the interview better so they get that best part of the interview. You know what I mean? So it's more, you know what I mean, if you get what I mean. So I'm gobsmacked really how my podcast has gone.
Yeah, first, a few years ago, I actually listened to your podcast. You interviewed someone I used to work with.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to mention her name, but I was listening to the stories about the old days and stuff that I was really shocked at as well.
Well, you know what? When I first started my podcast, you know how hard it was to get people on it? Because they just looked at me and go, that's Neil. Oh, Secrets of the Underworld. No, I don't want to come on. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh my God. Like, and now these people are asking me now, can I come on? And I'm going, well, you had your chance, man. You know, and that's how I am. You know what I mean? If you say no to me and then you want to come back on, it's like, well, hold on a minute. Why did you say no to me, you know, a year ago? But now you can see that it's doing well. You want to come on. I've just got now, I won't say who it is because he's dropping for season 12. But I've just got one of the biggest DJs in Australia to come on my podcast and do his first interview in 20 years. Okay? And he rang me and he says, it's now. I want to do it now. You know what I mean? I said, all right, we'll do it. And it's going to be 4 episodes. It's huge because he's got such a story to tell. And, you know, I'm proud that, you know, I'm privileged that he's asked me and he wants to be on my podcast to do his first interview in 20 years. So, you know, it's starting to build, which I'm proud of.
Oh, nice. But I like that interview I listened to with a girl that used to be in the industry.
I think I know which one it is.
You outed one of the girls for doing extras and I was laughing so much I had to listen to that part again. I'm like, we all knew it, girl. We all knew it.
Yeah.
That you just casually dropped it and go, oh, yeah, I caught her in the room. Like, we knew it, honey.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't think I did it to you, but what I do is I always tell my guests, is there something I can't say? And if they say go for it, I go for it. You know what I mean? I'll dig deep.
Yeah, I think you asked me, is there anything off limits?
But if they say to me, there's such things I can't do, and I will say this because now they're all going to know, but what I'll do is I'll get my story, whatever they want, and then I know I've got my story there. But then I'll go, you know what? Now I've got my story and I've still got about 10 minutes left of this podcast. I'm going to ask you them questions that you told me I couldn't answer. And if you answer them, I benefit. If you don't, well, I've still got my story. And that's how I do it now. Even though they'll say, no, I don't want to touch space on this. Okay, no worries. We'll get this podcast. And the last 5 minutes I go, oh, by the way. And then I'll get it. Because sometimes they forget. You know, what they've said they won't talk about, you know, because I've relaxed them and I've got like, they're in the podcast mode and they're having fun. And then I'll drop it. If they say it, they don't, well, it's a bonus. You know what I mean? So that's it. That's how I've gone.
You're giving me ideas.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm good. But that's me. That's my next 12 months. That's what I'm doing the next 12 months.
Oh, awesome. See yourself going on mainstream TV?
Nah, I can't see myself doing. You know what? I was all geared up to do TV maybe last year, but now I think, you know what? For the sports show, yeah, the soccer show, yeah, but anything else, no, nothing. No, I'm not into it now. I was offered a few roles last year, and then I'm glad it didn't happen.
Didn't you have a movie role?
I had a movie role to play Van Damme.
You played him.
I was supposed to, and then it didn't happen.
Do you know that Van Damme is not anywhere near your size?
Well, when they asked me to play Van Damme, I just went, I can't do the split.
You're playing what Van Damme thinks he is. He's
I don't know.
tiny. I've met him. He's
Don't
smaller
understand
than me.
why they offered me. Maybe they said because of my size. They said because of my physique. I said fine, that's it. But I am not doing the splits. I cannot do the splits. And I remember they said, please, Neil, can you just make sure you train and do all this and keep fit? And I did it, and I did it, and then all of a sudden, they told me, the budget couldn't come through. We can't do it now. I said, well, fucking hell. So I just trained for fucking nothing. But anyway, it was all good.
I've met him and I didn't know it was him. And I was offered to go to the toilets with him.
Okay.
And then the girls were telling me that is Van Damme. I'm like, no, that can't be. That guy's smaller than I am. And I was tiny back in the day. I was anorexic. And I'm like, no, that can't be, until I saw the reaction of men when they saw him. So I'm like, no, there's no way. How are they just going to put Van Damme's head on your body?
No, they had me down to fight him in the last scene.
Oh, okay.
So it was supposed to be Van Damme versus, I don't know, the old Van Damme or the new Van Damme. I don't know what it was, but they had me down to fight him. So
the actual Van Damme.
The actual Van
That
Damme.
would have been an unfair fight.
And I was spewing when it
Gonna
didn't
hit someone's grandpa.
But anyway, it wasn't to be. Never mind. I'll get another movie role. Who knows?
Anyway, thanks so much, Neil, for coming on. Thanks for opening up.
I hope it didn't open up too much.
No, if you have anything you want to say, say it.
No, I'm done. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.